Hello, welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Media News on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Sadia Yakubu. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channels 276. And now the news in details. President Bola Tinubu has paid tribute to the late head of state, General Murtala Muhammad, describing him as a military officer with democratic credentials whose leadership left a lasting mark on Nigeria's political evolution and Africa's liberation struggle. The president spoke at the 50th Murtala Muhammad International Lecture and Leadership Conference held in honor of the late leader, represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume. Tinubu said Muhammad possessed democratic blood in his veins. He praised Muhammad for implementing a transition program during his brief tenure to return Nigeria to presidential democracy. Exactly 50 years ago, on Friday, 13th February 1976, Nigeria was plugged into a state of mourning as the head of state, General Murtala Ramat Muhammad, was assassinated on his way from his Ikoyi residence to his office in Dodon Barracks in Lagos. In this special tribute, correspondent Shehu Said takes us down memory lane to whom the man General Murtala Muhammad was and what he stood for.
Born in Kano on November 8, 1938, Murtala Muhammad joined the Nigeria Army in 1959 after graduating from the famous Barewa College, Zaria. He received his military training at the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, in the United Kingdom as a regular combatant. After going through a series of military training and positions, Murtala became Nigeria's third military head of state on the 30th of July 1975, following a military takeover from General Yakubu Gowon's regime, who was attending the Organization of African Unity, OAU Summit in Kampala, Uganda. Among the achievements of his administration was an assertive foreign policy acknowledging the MPLA government in Angola. At the home front, a 50-member constitution drafting committee for a return to civil rule in 1979 was constituted. Panels were also set up to advise on retired public officers' assets, the location for a new federal capital, which is now Abuja, and the creation of additional 7 states. A low-profile policy for public officers was declared by the administration. Hence, General Murtala preferred to remain at his residence in Ikoyi, while the endearment of Murtala Muhammad by Nigerians 50 years after his demise. Former Senator Shehu Sani provides an answer.
We saw how within 48 hours he generated a national spirit where Nigerians become so patriotic about their country. Within 48 hours, the world now look at Nigeria. Within 48 hours, we become a continental force, a voice that can stood up to the Western world and speak to the face of powerful nations of the world.
And what lessons should the present and future leaders learn from late General Murtala Muhammad's leadership?
Murtala is not today remembered by the mansions he left for his children, or by the shopping malls he built for himself, or by the shares he has in oil companies and banks, but he's been known for his sacrifice to this country and his own personal poverty as a leader who decided not to amass wealth, not to acquire wealth, and not to loot the treasury of the country.
Many monuments in the country are dedicated to his memory, such as the Murtala Muhammad International Airport in Lagos, while his portrait also adorns the 20 Naira note, the only currency bearing a military head of state. Shehu Said, reporting for Global Television News.
Members of the Joint National Assembly Conference Committee constituted to reconcile differences in the Electoral Amendment Bill passed separately by the Senate and the House of Representatives are expected to meet on Monday as lawmakers move to transmit a harmonized version to President Bola Tinubu for assent. The joint panel, made up of members from both chambers, has been given a one-week window to resolve continuous provisions in the bill, notably those dealing with electronic transmission of election results. The decision to harmonize the bill follows the passage of different versions by the Senate and the House, particularly on the role of technology in result collation and transmission. Under legislative procedure, where both chambers pass varying texts of the same bill, a conference committee is set up to produce a single version acceptable to both sides before transmission to the President. The current amendment process is coming on the heels of the controversies that trailed the 2023 general election, especially the failure of the Independent National Electoral Commission to upload presidential election results to its result viewing portal in real time. The All Progressives Congress Renewed Hope Grassroots Movement has officially endorsed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for a second term, praising his reforms amid strengthening Nigeria's economy and governance. Our political correspondent Ubong Usoro reports.
In Abuja, leaders of the Renewed Hope Grassroots Movement passed a vote of confidence on President Tinubu, describing his administration as transformative and forward-looking. Speaking to journalists, National Coordinator Ambassador Isaac Chikozie Ude listed the administration's landmark reforms since May 29, 2023. He highlighted the removal of fuel subsidies and the unification of the foreign exchange system as key steps to restore fiscal discipline and boost investor confidence.
We are seeing what he's doing, but what he's doing, most people who doesn't like speaking positive about Mr. President's achievement block it through social media. But we are stepping it down because we also belong to that social media.
National Secretary Engineer Amodu Abdurrahman praised the government's focus on youth empowerment, education, and infrastructural development. He stressed that the group's role in keeping citizens informed and mobilized ahead of the 2027 elections.
Renew Hope Grassroots Movement is the largest. It's the largest pressure group in Nigeria, in Africa as a whole. The records are there for us to see. It is not theory, it's practical. And therefore, we are doing everything possible to ensure that we have a block vote for Mr. President, inshallah, who come 2027.
The Renewed Hope Grassroots Movement says it will continue nationwide efforts to educate and engage Nigerians, urging unity and active participation as the country approaches the next general elections. Ubong Usoro, Global Television News.
The Progressive Youth Commissioners Forum gathered in Abuja to celebrate the appointment of former Speaker House of Representatives Aminu Bello Masari as Chairman of the National Convention Planning Committee 2026 of the All Progressives Congress, as well as his designation as Zonal Coordinator of the Renewed Hope Initiative. Again, Ubong Usoro reports.
The convener of the forum, Sage Musa Ahmed, who is the Commissioner for Information, Jigawa State, praised Aminu Masari for his remarkable contributions to Nigeria's democratic development. He highlighted Masari's past leadership roles as the Speaker of the House of Representatives and Governor of Katsina State, describing him as a seasoned administrator committed to party unity and national progress. The Commissioner commended his efforts in promoting youth inclusion in governance and strengthening party structures across the region.
Today, the forum proudly gathered to honor Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari's CFR in recognition of his distinguished leadership, steadfast commitment to progressive governance, and enduring contribution to youth advancement and national development. His Excellency have done very well. He don't require any much introduction. He have done best as Speaker of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The Deputy Governor of Katsina State, Farouk Jobe, lauded Masari's leadership and administrative competence, noting his appointment as the chairman of the APC National Convention Planning Committee 2026 and zonal coordinator of the Renewed Hope Initiative as strategic to ensuring a successful and well-organized party convention.
A defining moment in our political journey, leaders of tested experience are called often, and Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari has consistently answered that call with dignity, wisdom, and purpose.
Responding, Aminu Masari thanked God for his guardians over the years and reaffirmed his commitment to discipline, integrity, and dedicated service to both the APC and the nation.
This responsibility not as honors alone, but as serious obligations to contribute meaningfully to national development and democratic consolidation. The Renewed Hope agenda represents the policy direction and the governing policy philosophy of this administration.
The gathering ended with youth commissioners pledging to mobilize grassroots support, intensify political awareness among young people, and work collectively towards sustaining the unity and progress of the APC. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
Margarine has reaffirmed its commitment to youth and women empowerment in agriculture as the 49th session of the International Fund for Agricultural Development IFAD wraps up in Rome. Margarine's Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, who was elected chairperson of the Governing Council, led discussions focused on investing in young entrepreneurs to drive global food security. And Nieti Patrick completes the story.
The 49th session of IFAD's Governing Council ended in Rome with a strong call for strategic investments in young people and women in agriculture, themed from farm to market. Investing in young entrepreneurs, the biennial meeting underscored the role of youth in job creation, innovation, and inclusive economic growth. Nigeria's Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, who was elected as the chairperson of IFAD's Governing Council, noted that Nigeria's leadership at IFAD aligns with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's directive to prioritize food security, expand opportunities for young people and women, and build resilient agricultural systems capable of withstanding climate and market shocks.
I am deeply grateful for the support of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President of Nigeria and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, whose strong commitment to food security and agricultural transformation continues to shape Nigeria's constructive engagement in both national and global food security governance. When we equip young people with access to finance, skills, mentorship, and markets, we do more than support individual enterprises. We strengthen value chains, generate employment, foster innovation, and secure our shared economic value.
The minister also commended the IFAD Nigeria Country Office, led by Country Director Dede Eku, for translating global commitment into measurable impacts across rural communities, particularly in strengthening value chains and supporting smallholder farmers. As the conference drew to a close, Nigeria reaffirmed its commitment to multilateral cooperation in tackling hunger and poverty, reinforcing its position as a forward-looking voice on the global agricultural stage. Nieti Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
You're watching the live broadcast of Media News. Media News continues after these with the focus, plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Hello, I'm glad to have you with us on the weather forecast for Friday. Starting in the north, plenty of sunshine is expected as dry conditions and clear skies will dominate the region, so no major weather concerns here. To the north-central region, partly cloudy conditions will prevail throughout the day. But it's a different story as we head down south, as cloudy conditions will prevail in the coastal parts of the country as well as the inland cities, with possibilities of morning thunderstorms in parts of Lagos, Edo, Delta, Bayelsa, Rivers, and Cross River states. Going into the afternoon and evening hours of Friday, the storms are expected to spread to include the inland cities, talking about the southwest and parts of the southeastern states. Now let's talk temperatures. Temperatures are quite high, particularly in the north and in the north central. So remember to remain well hydrated and limit prolonged exposure in sunlight. I am Theodora Itum. Thank you for watching.
Welcome back from that short break. And in business news, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, says banks and check printers now risk a fine of 10 million naira for using unapproved security futures. The Apex Bank disclosed this as it revised the sanction grid of the Nigerian Check Standards and Nigerian Check Printers Accreditation Scheme. The updated sanctions were announced in a notice signed by Director of Banking Services Department Hamisu Abdullah. Meanwhile, the Central Bank of Nigeria has reaffirmed its commitment to sweeping economic reforms amid stabilizing the economy and positioning the country for a $1 trillion economy by 2030. The Deputy Director of the Corporate Communications and Investor Relations Department at the bank, CD Hakama, disclosed this during the Investor Relations CBN Special Day at the 47th Kaduna International Trade Fair. Hakama, who was represented by Deputy Director at the bank, Abbas Ahmed, said the theme of the fair, from reforms to results, economic transformation through sustained local content development, aligns with the Apex Bank reform agenda. And on the foreign scene, in a different display of resilience, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has declared his unwavering commitment to leading the nation, asserting that he will never walk away from the country he loves. Speaking at a public forum in Hertfordshire, centered on the escalating cost of living crisis, Starmer's statement comes after a period that saw his leadership come under intense pressure. Our correspondent, Edika Michael, tells us more.
The Prime Minister's reaffirmation of his position follows a politically charged Monday where Scottish Labour leader Hannah Sowell publicly called for Starmer's resignation, igniting speculation about his future at the helm. The Prime Minister's cabinet recently has also rallied forcing issued a chorus of endorsement that appealed to temporarily quell these dissent. Now, addressing a crowd of concerned citizens in Hertfordshire, Starmer directly addressed their recent political storm, acknowledging the heightened level of politics in recent time.
I will never walk away from the mandate I was given to change this country. And I will never walk away from the country that I love.
However, Keir Starmer pivoted quickly to his core message, a relentless focus on alleviating the burden of the cost of living crisis in ordinary Britons. Drawing upon deeply personal anecdote, Starmer recounted his personal experience with financial hardship, saying he knows what it's like to struggle. This appeal to his working class roots served as a powerful counterpoint to some of the accusations of being out of touch with the concerns of everyday people. Starmer further emphasized his connection to working class communities by highlighting the composition of his cabinet, which he proudly proclaimed as the most working class cabinet in history. He also lamented the persistent systemic inequalities that continue to hold back.
I know what it feels like to sit around the kitchen table worrying about the fact that you can't make ends meet. And there are millions of people in the same boat. Children in poverty. Young people who don't get the opportunities they deserve. Millions of people held back because of a system that doesn't work for them. And I'm fighting for them. I am their Prime Minister, and this is their government. And I will never give up on that fight. But the fight coming up in politics, the real fight, is not in the Labour Party. It's with the right-wing politics that challenges that. The politics of reform. The politics of divide, divide, divide. grievance, grievance, grievance that will tear our country apart. That is the fight that we are in. And I will be in that fight as long as I have breath in my body.
Now, while Stemmer's impassioned defense has shored up his position for now, the underlying tensions within the Labour Party remain. Whether he can successfully navigate these challenges and maintain his grip on leadership remains to be seen. The week comes week by critical as he seeks to regain momentum and demonstrate his ability to deliver a tangible result for the British people. Edika Michael for Global TV News.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has called a mass shooting in the country's remote town of Tumbleweed an act of unheard or cruelty, clarifying that the nation is in mourning. While speaking to Parliament, Prime Minister Carney noted that the incident has left the nation in shock. Uyi Abomofwebi has the details.
Authorities say 9 people were killed in the incident that also impacted the residents in the small northern British Columbia community. Police, however, said the shooter was found dead with a self-inflicted injury. The police have identified the suspect as Jeze Van Rostella, an 18-year-old who had prior mental calls to her home. She was found dead following the attack. The Prime Minister summarily described the impact of the shooting as devastating, while commending first responders, paramedics, and teachers for their courage.
What happened has left our nation in shock and all of us in mourning. 9 people killed, more than 25 others injured, some still in hospital fighting for their lives. I want to express my profound gratitude to the first responders, the RCMP officers who entered immediately that school, not knowing what awaited them, to the paramedics and medical staff at the Tumbler Ridge Health Center, to the teachers and the school staff who acted with extraordinary courage to protect the children in their care.
Royal Canadian Mounted Police Deputy Commissioner Dwayne MacDonald said Rostella had a history of mental health contact with police and that the suspect's mother and stepbrother were found dead in a home near the school. The motive behind the shooting remains unclear. Prime Minister Carney also urged Canadians to understand that while investigation is ongoing, law enforcement should be allowed the space and time to do their job accordingly. Uyi Agmofwegbe reporting for Global TV News.
And in sports, the Confederation of African Football has received 3 official bids from Morocco, Ethiopia, and a joint bid from South Africa and Botswana to host the 2028 African Cup of Nations before Thursday deadline for the submission of expression of interest. AFCON 2028 will usher in CAF new era of staging the tournament every 4 years. The change was announced by the CAF president during the just concluded edition in Morocco. Morocco hosted the tournament for the second time between December 2025 and January 2026, with the North Africans earning praise for setting a new infrastructural benchmark for the competition. The National Institute of Sport is set for major transformation following strong backing from the National Assembly for a significant increase in the 2026 budget. Lawmakers says the move is aimed at reviving Nigerian sport development structure from the grassroots to elite level. Anita Patrick completes the story.
The General of the National Institute of Sports, Philip Schreiber, has unveiled a 10-year strategic development plan to reposition the institute as the backbone of Nigeria's sports growth. Presenting the 2026 budget proposal before the House of Representatives Committee on Sports, Schreiber outlined long-standing structural and funding challenges that has limited the institute's effectiveness since its establishment in 1974. He said for more than 5 decades, the institute operated without a defined long-term roadmap, a gap he linked to declining standards in athletes' training and infrastructure, including the deterioration of the Athletes Development Center before ongoing rehabilitation. The House Committee subsequently increased the Institute's 2026 budget estimate from 2.8 billion naira to about 60 billion naira after consultations with the Budget Office.
Budget of 637 million naira, which is nothing to write home about considering the current transformation that is taking place in NIS. Therefore, we sat with the agency, with the DG, and with the committee. We initiated an idea of how we will make sure this 2026 budget is going to be different for them.
Meanwhile, the Committee on Sport also threw its weight behind the reverse 60 billion naira proposal, describing the institute as central to Nigeria's sporting future. However, the NIS Director General assured lawmakers that the proposed funding would strengthen athletes' preparation for international competitions, upgrade facilities, and expand grassroots coaching programs nationwide.
Lack of NIS functioning had led to our children born abroad are now those that are representing our country. Why? Because the facility is there for our children born abroad to use, and we are now relying on them to come and represent our country. Whereas, once upon a time, the Okalas that I'm talking about, the Okochas, we are products of our league.
Lawmakers maintain that revitalizing the National Institute of Sports is a critical step towards restoring Nigeria's competitiveness on the global sporting stage. From the National Assembly, Anieti Patrick reporting for Global TV News.
And that's it on Media News. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV, channel 365, and Star Times, channels 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using at Global TV NG. I am Sadia Yakubu saying thank you for watching.